Hello everyone, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the MCQ session on finance current affairs. Good evening everyone, good evening Chetan. Good evening Anushka. Okay guys, let's start the session. So guys, if you are preparing for any regulatory body exam, Oliveboard is giving flat 60% off. Oliveboard birthday bash sale is live. So you can use this particular code BDAY and get a flat 60% off on all the regulatory body exams. Let's quickly start the session. The first question for today is, the first quarter of financial year 25-26 witnessed a moderate growth in terms of credit and deposit mobilization in the banking sector. While the deposit growth slightly outpaced the credit, the overall expansion in the financial intermediation remains steady only. So how much did the bank credit and deposits grow year on year basis during April to June 2025 respectively? Bank credit growth and deposit growth during the first quarter of this particular financial year. The correct choice here is option B. 9.5% was the bank credit growth, 9.5%, and the deposit growth was 10.1%. Okay. Good evening Aditi. Next, the government of India has adopted a new digital reform to improve the transparency and efficiency in the large value fund transfer. A notable step is mandatory routing of the high value government payments through the RBI's e-Kuba platform. So from what threshold value onwards will the government payments now have to be routed via e-Kuba platform? A very simple and a very important question. Here the correct choice is option C, 75 crore. Okay, so earlier it used to be something else. Now it is 75 crore, and in the recent after some time definitely they are planning to do it even 50 crore. Okay, so they are continuously reducing this particular limit. Next, the FTSE Russell, a global leader in benchmarking the ESG performance, regularly update the index as well. Okay, so recently they have updated their index, and which of the following Indian company has now been added to this particular FTSE 4 Good index? Is it Adani Green Energy, NTPC, Tata Power, JSW Energy, or Renew Power? Yes guys, the correct choice here is JSW Energy. They have been included in the FTSE Good index for its strong ESG practices, right? Next, the global technology sector has witnessed exponential growth in the market capitalization, with some of the companies achieving the milestone never seen before. One of the US based chip maker, NVIDIA, has become a first company to hit a market valuation milestone, right? So which what is the valuation milestone that NVIDIA has recently achieved? What is the valuation landmark that this particular company has achieved? Yes, $4 trillion. Okay, $4 trillion mark. NVIDIA becomes the first company to cross this particular landmark. Okay. Next is, India's foreign exchange reserve act as a cushion against the external shocks that are closely monitored by the policy makers, right? So as of June 4th, 2025, the reserves witnessed a decline. What is the current level of India's Forex reserve as on the date? So this is the recently published data related to the foreign exchange reserves or the Reserve Bank of India. Six triple nine is the correct choice. Option E, 6,999.74. Okay, 6,999.74. Next, in the move aimed at a better tracking of sectoral performance within the Indian equity, the Bombay Stock Exchange, through its joint venture S&P Dow Jones Asia Index Private Limited, has introduced a new index. What is the name of this new index? BSE Health Index, Electricity Index, Insurance Index, Commodity Index, or Financial Index? BSE Insurance Index. Okay, now in the examination you can get confused. Why? Because there was a launch of electricity futures as well. Okay, so that's on the NSE. However, on the BSE they have recently introduced the insurance index. Okay, insurance index. So C here will be the correct choice. Okay, C here will be the correct choice. बिल्कुल, अभी सब इजी लगेगा, फिर जब मैं मंथली करंट अफेयर वाला सेशन करूंगा तो कुछ भी याद नहीं आएगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि कल ही पढ़ा था ना हमने, इसलिए थोड़ा सा इजी लगेगा. ओके, नेक्स्ट. With the increasing needs for the seamless digital financial transaction, the financial infrastructure providers are launching advanced solutions. One such entity, Computer Age Management System Services, CAMS, has introduced a new payment platform through its CAMS Pay vertical. What is the nature of this newly launched solution? Is it a payment aggregator or a payment gateway, UPI-based mobile app, credit card payment management, or core banking payment system? Payment aggregator or a payment gateway? Payment gateway. ठीक है, B option is the correct choice. Next, to boost the green and affordable housing in India, a leading multilateral development bank has extended. अच्छा, क्वेश्चन में आंसर आ गया था. ओके, सो मे बी पुअर फ्रेमिंग ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन फॉर दिस वन. ओके, so multilateral bank development bank has extended a significant loan to the NBFC company. This funding aims to improve access to sustainable housing finance. So this is about sustainable housing finance for low income and the underserved population, which organization has provided a $100 million loan to IIFL Home Finance. The correct choice here is option C, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. They have given a $100 million loan to IIFL for what? To promote the green and affordable housing initiative. So this is not just the affordable housing, it is green affordable housing. Okay. Next, in June 2025, India saw a significant decline in the CPI inflation, reflecting the easing pressure on certain essential categories. Now, what is the new data of the CPI which was based in June 2025? So which is the new data related to CPI? कौन सा नया डेटा है यहाँ पे CPI से published? 2.1 है ना, 2.1. अच्छा, what is the WPI inflation data? We all know that it has entered into a deflation category. A negative category. So what is the WPI data? Good evening, Bhakti. .4 negative. Okay, 0.4 negative. Next question. What is the driving reason of this particular data? Decline in the CPI, decline in the WPI. So what do you think is the driving reason for this particular data? Is it the high base effect, industrial slowdown? 0.13 है, तो फिर एक बार ये रिव्यू के लिए डालते हैं. मे बी क्वेश्चन फ्रेमिंग का कुछ इशू होगा, एक बार ये रिव्यू के लिए डालते हैं. ओके, इसको चेक कर लेंगे. ठीक है, WPI वाले डेटा को एक बार और चेक कर लेंगे. So why this decline has happened? Because of the high base effect, industrial slowdown, food prices, crude oil prices, या फिर logistic disruption. Yes, food prices. Okay, food prices, because of the sharp decline in the food prices, both CPI and WPI has reduced. Okay, both CPI and WPI has reduced. CPI डेटा को रिव्यू में डाल देते हैं, ठीक है. Next, the banking system's liquidity condition has recently been in surplus, prompting banks to park the excess funds in the SDF. Now, what is cited as a key reason behind this liquidity surplus in the banking system? Is it due to high capital inflows, lackluster in the credit growth, government bond maturity, increased demand for deposits, or fall in the forex reserves? So yesterday only we were discussing that SDF के अंदर काफी सारा पैसा पार्क हो रहा है, राइट? SDF के अंदर काफी सारा पैसा पार्क हो रहा है. The correct choice here is option B, because of the declining credit growth here. Okay. Next, India is exploring a transition in the benchmark rate to enhance the transparency in the overnight money market. The RBI is also considering a globally recognized benchmark for this purpose. Which benchmark is under consideration for pricing the overnight financial instruments in the Indian market? And all the central banks are moving towards this particular rate, not just India. SOFR, okay, secured overnight financing rate, SOFR. Many countries are transitioning इस rate पे. Next, a bank recently sanctioned a loan to a farmer for dairy operations. Okay, so a bank has sanctioned a loan to a farmer for dairy operations here, and the borrower pledged the loan ornaments on his own. Okay, so that was a voluntarily pledging of gold ornaments. Can this be treated as a violation of PSL? Can this be treated as a violation of PSL? So we have seen that if a borrower is pledging gold on a voluntary basis, it's not at all a PSL norm violation. Okay, option C here is the correct choice. यार जब न्यूज आई थी तो मैं भी यही सोच रहा था कि वॉलंटरी कोई प्लेज करेगा ही क्यों, पर कर रहे थे लोग. ठीक है, उस वजह से सर्कुलर आ गया. ओके, मैं भी यही सोच रहा था एग्जैक्टली. जब कोलेटरल फ्री है तो क्यों प्लेज कर रहे हो यार? जब कोलेटरल फ्री है तो क्यों प्लेज कर रहे हो? और आई डोंट नो, बैंक इस बात को लेके कंफ्यूज्ड भी थे कि ये PSL के अंदर फिर आना चाहिए कि नहीं, बिकॉज इट्स अ क्लियर वायलेशन ऑफ कोलेटरल फ्री वर्ड. ठीक है, कोलेटरल फ्री का तो प्लेज हो ही रहा है, पर ठीक है, कभी कभी ऐसे थोड़ी अतरंगी न्यूज आ जाती है. द गोल्ड लोन्स यूज्ड व्हेन यूज्ड फॉर स्पेसिफिक इनकम जनरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज in rural areas are treated differently from for the classification purpose. The loans against the gold jewelries taken for the purpose like dairy farming or crop cultivation falls under a particular category of lending. Such categorization helps in meeting the regulatory lending targets. How are these loans classified? If you are giving loan against a gold jewelry, but the purpose is dairy farming or crop cultivation, so what kind of classification will apply on this particular loan? Yes, we have discussed yesterday that it will be treated as agriculture loan and it can satisfy the criteria of the PSL norms as well. Okay. India faces increasing concerns around the financial crime risk due to increasing digital transactions and evolving technology. The country is particularly vulnerable due to internal gaps and regulatory weakness in its surroundings. What dual threat does India faces according to the recent risk assessment? क्या dual threat आ रहा था इंडिया को? Option B. Okay, so this I have taken from a article from the Economic Times. Economic Times में का आर्टिकल आया था, उससे हमने पढ़ा था domestic laundering and external crypto spillovers. Okay, because as of now we don't have enough regulations for the cryptocurrencies that are yet to come in financial year 2025 itself. Okay, in calendar year 2025 itself. Next, yes, FATF wala, right? In recent trends in the home loan market, a shift in the market share has been observed between the public and the private sector counterparts. We have seen that private sector के comparison में public sector banks ने out perform कर दिया था, right, in terms of home loan market, right? So what percentage of the home loan value is now accounted by the public sector banks as of now? 43% हो गया, आज सब लोग पढ़ गए हो, सही है, 43%. Next question. RBI recently conducted a 7-day VRRR auction to manage the excess liquidity in the system. However, it went undersubscribed, right? So this reflects a bank's increasing preference for the instruments that offer more yield and flexibility. What was the alternate option banks are leaning towards instead of VRRR auction? Instead of VRRR auctions, what kind of alternative banks are using? Option B, overnight money market. Okay, they are going towards the overnight money market, obviously, because they are getting more yield in the overnight money markets. Okay, perfect. Next question. India's shipping industry recently received a significant boost through a landmark FDI commitment, right? Two of the firms based out of Cyprus, they have promised to invest a massive sum into the India maritime infrastructure, right? They have committed to invest 10,000 crore in the India shipping sector. What are the name of the organization or the firms? The correct choice here is option B. Okay, option B here is the correct choice. These are the firms who have committed highest ever FDI in the Indian maritime infrastructure. Okay, next question. Recently we have seen a boom of IPO, right? So in 2025 IPO market, they have given a NSE a rank. This is a global rank, not just India based rank, right? It's a global rank. What is the rank of NSE as of now? NSE को क्या रैंक दिया था? 4th रैंक दिया था, राइट? 4th इज द करेक्ट चॉइस, ऑप्शन ई. ठीक है यार, आईपीओ के नंबर याद नहीं करने, ठीक है, अच्छी बात है, तुमको याद है, पर प्रेशर मत डालो माइंड पे, ठीक है? लास्ट में जाते जाते इतने सारा डेटा हो जाएगा, फिर तब याद नहीं हो पाएगा, या फिर याद हो जाएगा तो मिक्स होगा, ठीक है? तो ये आईपीओ कितना है वो हमको याद नहीं रखना है ना. कितनी बार हम न्यूज़ पढ़ते हैं तो हमको चीज़ें याद रह जाती है, दैट्स फाइन, बट वही डेटा कोशिश करना याद ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा रखो जिसकी हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी हो है ना एग्जाम में आने की, नहीं तो प्रेशर बढ़ेगा फालतू में माइंड पे. फिर क्या होगा, वीकली में तो तुम लोग को सब याद आएगा, मंथली में तुम लोगों को कुछ भी याद नहीं आएगा, ठीक है? ऐसा होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा डेटा रिलेट याद करोगे तो फिर वीकली वाले में तो याद आएगा, लेकिन यू वॉन्ट बी एबल टू रिमेंबर इन द मंथली कंपाइलेशन सीरीज. ओके, so next question, India's trade deficit narrowed significantly due to what? What is the driving reason? Imports गिरे, exports बढ़े, तो narrow हो गया इंडिया का ट्रेड डेफिसिट. क्रूड ऑयल, राइट? क्रूड ऑयल, ऑप्शन सी. नेक्स्ट, The Insurance Regulatory Development IRDAI की बात हो रही है, has proposed new measures to expand the insurers' investment scope in the alternate investment classes like real estate investment trust and infrastructure investment trust. What is the revised proposed investment cap for the insurers so that they can make investment in the REITs and INVITs? 3% से लेके कितना हो गया था? 6%, है ना? 6%. Next question. With a growing focus on the transparency and the risk management in the financial markets and understanding the key terminologies in the derivatives has become crucial, and recently we have discussed about a derivative circular as well, OTC derivative, right? What is the meaning of this OTC? Yes, ओवर द काउंटर है ना, तो दो तरीके के डेरिवेटिव्स होते हैं, देखना। एक तो हो सकते हैं एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड। अच्छा, ये वाला वीडियो भी आउट है, उसको भी आप देख सकते हो, ठीक है, ये वाला वीडियो भी आउट है। सो एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड का क्या मतलब होता है? एक बीच में एक एक्सचेंज जो फैसिलिटेट करवा रहा है, जस्ट लाइक NSE, इफ यू आर हैविंग नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, आई एम बाइंग समथिंग, लेट्स सपोज Chetan is selling something, so there is an exchange who is facilitating the transaction here. That's not the case in OTC, right? So let's suppose Anushka and Bhakti, they both are doing transaction with each other over the counter, बैठ के transaction कर रहे हैं, there is no exchange in between. So in that case it is a OTC contract, right? It is a OTC, it can be highly customizable. It can be highly customizable, okay? Now what do you mean by novation in this particular context? There's a circular, draft circular है, still the terminologies can be important, वैसे draft circular है, अभी तक final आया नहीं है। What do you mean by the term novation in the light of the recently draft circular which was published by RBI related to the novations of the OTC derivative contracts? It's just the replacing of one counterparty with another, okay? It's replacing of the one counterparty with the another. So let's suppose we are having three counterparties, okay? Let's suppose we are having three counterparties. One is Yukti, one is Prateek, another one is Atiti. So in that case, Yukti and Atiti are already a party to the contract, right? They have entered into a OTC contract. Now Atiti wants to exit this deal and I want to enter this deal. So in that case, what they will do, we will replace one counterparty with another, right? So यहाँ पे युवती को क्या बोलेंगे? रिमेनिंग पार्टी बोलेंगे। अतिथि को क्या बोलेंगे? ट्रांसफरर बोलेंगे। प्रतीक को क्या बोलेंगे? ट्रांसफरी बोलेंगे, ठीक है। ट्रांसफरिंग द सेटलमेंट राइट्स देखो यार, अलग चीज हो गई ना, यहाँ पर सिर्फ सेटलमेंट राइट्स की बात हो रही है, पर यहाँ तो पूरी काउंटर पार्टी ही रिप्लेस हो जाएगी, राइट? सिर्फ सेटलमेंट राइट्स ट्रांसफर नहीं होंगे, पूरा पुराना वाला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ही स्क्रैप हो जाएगा, ओके? पुराना वाला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ही स्क्रैप हो जाएगा। तो ये वाला वीडियो पब्लिश हो चुका है, ठीक है, और नोवेशन ऑन दी OTC डेरिवेटिव करके आप वीडियो सेक्शन में जाओगे, ऑलिवबोर्ड के आपको मिलेगा, उस पर फटाफट से देख लेना। 20-25 मिनट का कुछ सेशन है, लास्ट में मैंने कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी दिए हैं, वो क्वेश्चंस भी ट्राई करना कि सॉल्व कर पाओ, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया हैज लेड आउट clear guidelines for the process of the novation in the OTC derivative contract in a scenario where the transferor initiates a novation without consulting the original counterparty. What is the regulatory stance on such transfer? Let's take that example only. Prateek, Yuvti and Atiti, so they both, इन दोनों का ट्रांजेक्शन था, ऑलरेडी एक एग्रीमेंट था, OTC एग्रीमेंट। नाउ अतिथि वांट्स टू गेट आउट दिस ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर ट्रांजेक्शन, आई वांट टू गेट इन टू दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। हाउएवर अतिथि ने यहाँ पे कंसेंट नहीं लिया युवती से, तो इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन? इन दैट केस व्हाट विल हैपन? रिमेनिंग पार्टी से अगर आप कंसेंट नहीं लोगे तो ये चीज वैलिड नहीं होगी। इट इज नॉट अलाउड विदाउट द प्रायर कंसेंट, यू नीड टू टेक कंसेंट ऑफ द remaining party, okay? Because this is not at all a exchange traded contract कि मर्जी पड़ी तब बेच दिया, मर्जी पड़ी तब खरीद लिया। This is a pure OTC contract, this is a pure over the counter contract। यहाँ पे आप अपनी मर्जी से नहीं कर सकते सब कुछ, दोनों काउंटर पार्टीज का कंसेंट होना चाहिए, राइट? नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, under the RBI's proposed norms for novation of the derivative contracts, pricing transparency is emphasized. What basis must be used for determining the value exchanged by the transferer Atiti and the transferee Prateek during the novation? When Atiti is exiting the contract and I am entering into the contract, right? We agreed upon a particular value. We need to agree upon a particular value. What can be that value? Is it cost based? Is it last settlement value, notional principal, prevailing market price, discounted future cash flow? हम दोनों जो डील करेंगे वो किस प्राइस के बेस पे डील करेंगे? एट व्हाट प्राइस विल बी डूइंग द डील? कॉस्ट बेस्ड, last settlement value, notional principal, prevailing market rate, or discounted future cash flows? Everyone in the comment section, what do you think, guys? What should be the correct choice here? तो अभी तक 3 आंसर मिले हैं, ऑप्शन ए, ऑप्शन डी, ऑप्शन डी. ओके, कोई और ओपिनियन किसी का? कोई कुछ 2 शब्द कहना चाहेगा यहाँ पे? कोई ओपिनियन किसी का कि कॉस्ट बेस्ड होना चाहिए या फिर प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट प्राइस पे होना चाहिए? भाई प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट प्राइस पे होना चाहिए. वी हैव हर्ड दैट, वी हैव लर्न दैट कि मार्क टू मार्केट सेटलमेंट होता है ना, मार्क टू मार्केट. सो दोनों पार्टीज के बीच में द अग्रीमेंट विल बी बेस्ड ऑन दी प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट रेट. ओके, प्रिवेलिंग मार्केट रेट पे होने वाला है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, द रिस्क प्रोफाइल ऑफ द डेरिवेटिव कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कैन शिफ्ट सिग्निफिकेंटली ड्यूरिंग द नोवेशन. To manage the systemic risk efficiently, RBI has clarified the transfer of both the counterparty credit risk and market risk. In a typical novation under the new framework, to whom these risks are transferred? Transferee to the remaining party, transferor to the transferee, remaining party to the transferor, regulator to the transferee, or clearinghouse to the counterparty. बहुत सिंपल, बहुत स्ट्रेट यार. 3 लोग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में हैं, प्रतीक, युवती और अतिथि. ये तीनों लोग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में ना. अतिथि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट से बाहर जा रहे हैं, प्रतीक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अंदर आ रहा है. सो ट्रांसफरर मुझे ट्रांसफर करेगा ना सारे रिस्क, राइट? सो ट्रांसफरर विल ट्रांसफर ऑल द रिस्क, whether it's credit risk or market risk, to the transferee. Okay, Aditi will transfer the rest to me. Next question. RBI has clarified that commercial agreements between the parties involved in novation may include financial arrangements like fees or charges as well. However, such components are not governed directly by the regulator. Where such fees mentioned in the contractual documentation? Where are such fees mentioned in the contractual documentation? Let me just simplify it for you guys. Because Atiti is transferring all the rights, risk and reward to me in the contract, right? Now I and Yuvti will continue this particular contract related to OTC derivative in the near future, right? So can Atiti charge me a fees? Yes, he can charge. However, where to put this fees? In a private agreement, in a separate agreement, or I can put this particular fees in a triple agreement? Whether I need to keep this thing in the central registry or RBI circular का नेक्स्चर है इसके ऊपर कुछ, या फिर inside the triplicate novation agreement or outside the triple agreement? It should be outside the triple agreement. Why? Because Yuvti is not at all concerned with this particular thing, right? This transaction is between me and Aditi. Aditi wants to charge a fees from me for entering into a contract, right? So this fees will be totally a separate matter. तो सर पहले ट्रिपल एग्रीमेंट क्यों बना रहे थे? अरे यार देखो, अगर मैं नया पार्टी हूँ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में, राइट, अगर मैं डेरिवेटिव कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में नया पार्टी हूँ तो युवती से कंसेंट ले लिया, ठीक है, पर एक ट्रिपल एग्रीमेंट भी तो बनना चाहिए ना. एक एग्रीमेंट तो बनेगा तीनों पार्टीज के बीच में कि अब नया पार्टी आ रहा है ओटीसी डेरिवेटिव के अंदर. हाउएवर, जब सिर्फ अतिथि मुझसे चार्ज कर रहे हैं, इज चार्जिंग फीस फ्रॉम मी, सो हियर ओनली transferor and the transferee is concerned, right? So the correct choice here will be option D. Okay, so thank you so much guys, that's all from my end for today. Let's keep it short only this time, okay, and keep on revising more and more. और जिसका बैकलॉग चल रहा हो भाई, मंथली रिवीजन वाला पीडीएफ डाउनलोड करके फटाफट से रिवाइज कर लो, ठीक है, और वीकली सेशंस का रीडिंग मार लो फटाफट से. ओके, so thank you so much everyone, bye bye, take care, विश यू अ ग्रेट वीकेंड अहेड. ठीक है, मजे करना और बहुत सारा रिवीजन भी करना. गुड नाइट, बाय बाय. थैंक यू एवरीवन, थैंक यू.